Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for, I've lost the number, but the subsequent edition of Writer's Quotes. And today's Writer's Quote comes to us from The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's backwards, because I can't figure out how to flip the goddamn image. But what we're doing is we're cutting to the 9 situations. Bullet 49, which I believe I lost my notes on all of this. When I was in grad school, I was bound and determined to interpret the art of war for writers. Call it the art of war for writers, you know. And I believe that this is the bullet, the precise bullet from which I grabbed that epiphany. The very bullet which made me want to do this. It is bullet 49 in the 9 situations, which reads as such. On serious ground, I would try to ensure a continuous stream of supplies. On difficult ground, I would keep pushing on along the road. There are herein two situations which warrant noting, and I think are a little bit different for the practicing writer. And again, I think that this is for all types of creation. If you are a painter, if you are a writer, if you are a not actor, actors aren't artists. We'll get into this at some point on my personal channel. I'll leave a link to my personal channel, a pinned comment from my personal channel below. Over there I talk about nonfiction. I talk about TV shows like The Mandalorian, where I do reviews for that. I do movie reviews, things like that. But not actors. Actors aren't artists. I don't know what other type of art to which this would apply. Visual artists, musicians probably, but musicians, you're writing things as well. Anyway, I think that the art of war is great for the literary fashion by which we might take the art of war by the collar and drag it around wherever we need it, is that it is applicable in a literary way. All you have to do is interpret the war to whatever it is that you want to interpret it. And herein I will be making the argument for writing, because that's the art which I know maybe know something about. The way I see this is as such. That first part there, on serious ground, I would try to ensure a continuous stream of supplies. In this edition, we get a footnote. The commentators take this as referring to forage and plunder, not, as one might expect, to an unbroken communication with home base. I will take it as an unbroken communication with home base, a steady stream of supplies, by however that comes. And I think what I'm going to be referring to here, referencing back to, perhaps, is the best way to put this, on serious ground. To me, the way I interpret this for a writer is when you have a serious project going, when you have a serious project on which you are working. You've got your characters, you've got direction, you've probably got some character moments in your head already, you've got some dialogue, you've got some scenes. At that point, when you've got some interesting quirks, you know what you're exploiting with these characters and with this story. Some stories at some points present themselves to you in that fashion. You have this much of the piece before you ever put pen to paper. And when you're at that point, I think that you owe it to yourself, the steady stream of supplies. The responsibility of the writer at that point is to ensure the time and place to write. That is the steady stream of supplies. The time and the place for writing needs to be consistent at that point, or like your soldiers will starve if you do not have the the steady supplies, your soldiers will starve. And in this case, for the writer, what that means is your story will dry up. Maybe you get 2 or 3 great days in where you're pumping out 1,000 words a day, but then you run out of that steady supply stream. You don't budget that time to sit down and write. What happens is your soldiers starve. You don't have the wherewithal to pick up after 2 days where you left off before. So you have to make sure you have that time and that place to sit down and to write. The next part, on difficult ground, I would keep pushing along the road. This is, I hate to get too personal here, but it's my channel, so I'll do what I want. This is where I'm at. I'm on difficult ground. I cannot find the wherewithal within myself to create. Now, what that means, to keep pushing along the road. Though I cannot find the creativity within myself, I have to keep putting pen to paper, push along the road. No Cormac McCarthy references here. That's a low blow. Push along the road means maybe I'm getting free writing in. Maybe I'm sitting down and doing 30 minutes of journaling. Something. I am putting words on paper. If I have to sit down, if I tell myself I'm doing 200 words a day, and at this point, and I can't create, I don't have that spark within me, I'll sit down and I'll write the word fuck over and over and over again until I hit 200. And then I'll feel so bad about myself. But guess what? I budgeted that time. So the next day, I will not miss that time. That time is already counted for. So that's what it means to me, to be on the difficult ground and to keep pushing along the road, is to make sure you get those words however they come. There have been times where I have been so desperate that what I have done, and it's been fruitful, I don't remember where. I don't remember from whence I learned this trick, but I would grab something that I liked, Hills Like White Elephants, As I Lay Dying, and I would copy word for word a little chunk of that story into my notebook. And thereby, I'm putting myself into fiction. I'm putting myself into the role of the writer. Because you cannot help. You cannot help in that situation. And it's a sneaky trick. It's a sneaky goddamn trick. You're cruising along, rewriting As I Lay Dying, and you think, you know what? I think I'd put a squirrel on that tree that William Faulkner references. Something stupid. You'll edit it. Something that's obviously not William Faulkner. Something that's obviously below the grade of Hemingway. But you'll rewrite it. And what'll happen is you'll prompt yourself into asking, why would I do that? Why didn't Hemingway do it this way? Maybe it's a poem. I don't know how many Emily Dickinson poems present themselves within my notebooks from time to time. And you'll think to yourself, I'd never use this goddamn word. Emily, what in the hell were you thinking? Where'd you get that? You'll think to yourself, depending on which poem it is you write, you'll have no idea what the words mean that are flowing through your pen. She's got so many cryptic poems. And what happens is, when you're wondering, say you don't know a word, and you're forced to write it anyway. You force yourself to use context clues like you did in the 3rd grade, right? And your imagination will start going from there. Sepulcher. What does sepulcher mean, Emily? What the hell are you doing? Where'd you get it? Why'd you use it? And you start thinking, well, in the context there, what if it was something silly? What if it meant bright blue cat? Emily Dickinson writing about a bright blue cat. Yeah, that happened. Well, she did write about a goddamn fly flying around when she died. That's kind of weird. So what if that fly was a bright blue cat? Snows like the snows of Kilimanjaro. In the snows of Kilimanjaro, he sees death. What if death was a bright blue cat? A bright blue cat. What else could a bright blue cat bring? And you'll write a story about a bright blue cat, and it'll be symbolic in some way. That's what difficult ground is. You don't know exactly where you're going when you start putting that pen to paper, when you start trekking that difficult ground. You don't know how you're going to get there, but you force yourself to get somewhere. So that is this edition of Writer's Quote. I hope that you got something from it. I hope that there was something here for you. It really helps me out if you hit that like button. Again, there will be a pinned comment from my personal channel below if you so desire to follow me over there. Subscribe if you have not already. I'm hoping to make Writer's Quotes a more... no one likes them, but that's fine. They're helpful for me. So I intend to make them a more prevalent platform on the channel. So yeah. I hope to see you for the next video that pops up here on Stripped Cover Lit.